Hi, everyone. This is Tim Melvin of the Tim Melvin Deep Value Report and the Banking on Profits newsletter service, coming to you from down here on what is an almost chilly day in Central Florida. We only got up to 67 yesterday, um, low 70s today. I actually had to break out last night to walk the dog, a sweatshirt and socks. It's just brutal down here. The tragedy is real, as they say. The Florida winter is fast upon us, and we may not get back up into the high 70s, early 80s. It could be till Thursday on Thanksgiving Day, so we're shivering down here. I hope you feel our pain. Anyway, we're heading into, of course, Thursday's my favorite holiday of the year. Thanksgiving is the perfect holiday. If you think about it, there's tons of food, and I love a good roast turkey with stuffing and the sausage stuffing and pumpkin pies and mashed potatoes and gravy. And I'm going to eat like a fat kid. It's going to be ridiculous. And there's football on all day. There's some fantastic football games. Hey, in aside, my young nephew, EJ, is in Green Bay, and he's getting personal tours around Lambeau Ford Field. He has muscular dystrophy, unfortunately. Prognosis is not grand for the long term, but there's medical breakthroughs all the time, so we're always hopeful. But he gets to go up to Green Bay to meet the football team and to watch the Green Bay Packers play football on Thursday. And I just think that's just absolutely a wonderful thing. I believe it was done through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. My brother-in-law told me this is just such a cool thing. Make-A-Wish is one of my favorite charities, so if you're giving some money out this year, keep them on the list. And you know what? Make sure you'll watch that game on Thursday. Maybe you'll even see EJ. I understand he's going to be down on the field for part of the game. I think that is so cool. But anyway, we're going to watch football all day. We're going down to my son-in-law's father's place in Naples. So we're going to, be eating Gulf front, I'm sorry. Fantastic views of the Gulf from his place. There's a nice little beach and bar inside the condo complex where they have their place. So it's going to be fantastic. Going to have all the kids together in one spot. Now that triggers an event. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. But the all kids rule in one town is going to be invoked this week. So I'm just really looking forward to it. And the best part about Thanksgiving, you've got all the food, you've got the wine, the cocktails, the desserts, the family, the friends, and I do not have to buy one damn present for anybody. Favorite holiday of the year. Anyway, we've been focused a lot of conversations about oil. Doing an interview tomorrow with a fund manager who has, it's a value guy, who's put up really good numbers over the years, and he's gone all in on oil. He's just right into the middle of the stack. And he has some compelling arguments why the market may very well be completely wrong about oil. Some of them I agree with, some of them I'm a little bit more skeptical on, but if he's even close to right, there's going to be a ton of money made here. I'm going to be talking to him tomorrow. We're scheduled to have an interview. Everything goes well. Subscribers will have that audio to listen to as they head off for Thanksgiving. Maybe if you're traveling tomorrow afternoon, you can, listen to it while you're jammed onto the airplane or in the 13-mile backup on the turnpike or whatever. So we're pretty excited about that. But we have to be talking about oil as we come into year end. Everybody knows, if you're a subscriber, Deep Value is loaded up with oil stocks. We're probably going to buy more. We're very close to doubling down on a couple of others. And if oil goes up next year and gets anywhere near some of the predictions that this fund manager is making, we are going to be the best performing newsletter service in the country with the lowest subscriber rate. Because in spite of the fact that we've talked continuously about the fact that don't even get involved with my stuff unless you've got a 3 to 5 year time horizon, and we will underperform for significant periods of time, our renewal rate is terrible. So, because we are energy and resource heavy, they've gotten killed. Most of our other positions have done okay. We've had one or two that didn't do so well, but mostly, the non-energy related stuff's doing pretty good, but the energy stuff has killed us. Fortunately, we've been moving slow and staying small. We are 50% cash, so our killing is relative. We have not gotten beaten like the Ackmans, Einhorns, Southeastern Asset Management, the long-leaf funds, have all gotten just crushed this year because they have a much heavier percentage of their funds invested. We've sidestepped quite a bit of it, but we've underperformed and at a pretty decent clip to the overall stock market because of bad energy picks and holding very high cash balances. That'll change. I mean, we're going to have, here oil comes back, we're going to have a tremendous return in this thing. So we're going to offer a special next month for those of you that have not gotten up and signed up for the deep value letter, because we have been underperforming. We can pinpoint the reason. That reason is not permanent. We think we're extraordinarily well positioned going into 2016. And after 6.5 years of a bull market pullback, bull market run, if we get a pullback, we're going to be able to get our cash in on some incredibly advantageous terms. So pretty excited looking forward to 2016 for the deep value portfolio. Now, when we look at oil, it's not just the oil and oil services companies that get hit. As we're going through some of the screens this week, we're identifying businesses that you don't think about as necessarily being related to oil that have gotten just slaughtered because of low oil prices. Low oil prices can have a significant negative impact on the U.S. economy. There are stores out there, department stores and chain stores, that have a significant presence in oil-producing regions, the Dakotas, down along the Texas, Louisiana coast, areas like that the economy is heavily reliant on oil. These stores are turning in terrible performances, and it's dragging down some of the larger regional chains. Texas banks, everybody's watching them. Some of them have weakened up quite a bit because everybody's worried about their oil exposure. You don't really think about banks. That's not the first thing that comes to mind when you worry about low oil prices and its impact on the economy. Now, I will tell you, this is something that personally I'm watching very, very closely. If oil does continue to drift down, maybe even challenges that 27 mark where the Saudis start to lose money on each and every barrel coming out of the ground, or even just down into the mid to low 30s, okay? Texas banks, there's going to be some selling of Texas banks. They're going to develop some problem loan issues. I have to say that in a couple of the oil substantial declines I've seen in my career, and I'll point to the one in the late 1980s, early 1990s as a prime example. When Texas banks get into trouble because of oil, look, oil prices are very low right now. It's not going to stay that way. If this happens in Texas and the Texas bank stocks get down below book value, the last couple of times that I've seen that happen in my career, fortunes were made investing in Texas bank stocks, because eventually oil does come back. The ones that survive, they go up 10, 15, 20 times what you were paying for. Most Texas banks, when oil was higher, selling it way over 2 times the book value. If we ever get a chance to buy these things under book value, we are going to pounce in a very big way. But it's suppliers to the oil industry. There's a staffing company out there that does a lot of work with the oil and gas industry. The stock's trading at 50% of book value. Things like this that are created by the low oil prices. We're looking at all of those. These are the types of things that we're going to want to move into, along with any other safe and cheap oil stocks we can find. And remember, when you're looking at oil and you're thinking oil is low, everybody's talking about the incredible opportunities existing in the space. First off, remember, most of the incredible opportunity guys so far have been on the debt side of things. So unless you're buying energy debt, and we may, because I'm looking at some really attractive pieces of paper right now, limit your buying to the safe stocks that are also cheap, or the cheap stocks that are also safe. There's a lot of cheap stuff in the energy field. I've talked about it. Most of it does not qualify as also being a safe stock. We've got our names. We like them a lot. Was pretty excited to see today that I finally saw some 13Ds being filed on some of our earnings-related holdings. I think that's going to help unlock shareholder value going forward. But limit your buying to safe and cheap stocks, because anybody predicting oil with any precision is out of their mind a little bit, because no one knows where it's going to go. Nobody but the Saudis know how long they can keep up with the pressure on their national budget and growing dissent and pressure inside OPEC itself to take the foot off the gas pedal and cut production back. Now, 2 very real chances of a price spike next year. One is we have a lot of capacity coming off real fast. Rig rates are going down pretty much around the world. The offshore drilling rigs, no new activity there whatsoever. Seeing drastic rig declines here in the United States. If production comes offline too fast and demand begins to pick up, prices are going to go to the moon. The Saudi oil minister said himself that one of the things he was worried about was exactly that type of situation happening, and capacity not being able to get back online quick enough and causing a spike to $200. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not predicting it. I'm suggesting it as a possibility. And should it happen in 2016, 2017, the amount of money we're going to make in the deep value portfolio is, it's a lot. So the other, this is a risk, and I don't hear anybody talking about it when they're talking about oil. There, supply, demand, excess supply, the Saudi price war, and it's all going to combine to keep oil price. Have you looked at the Middle East lately? I count three: the United States, the Russians, and the French, that are actively bombing in the Middle East. We had Turkey shoot down a Russian jet fighter today. There's all the components in the Middle East. There's always something going on that could lead to war, but it's really, the pressure's up there right now. One misstep, one mistake, we could have a conflict that seriously interrupts oil supply out of that region, and that will create a price spike. Those are both possibilities. We're not predicting them. We're not even hoping they're going to happen, even though they would make us a ton of money. But there is a flip side to the low price forever argument on oil. We are very close to doubling down on some of our safe and cheap positions. We're just kind of watching oil movements a little bit, picking our spot. What we'd like to do is catch a day when oil and stocks are both down big, and then we're going to get in there and double down on some of our safe and cheap stocks. We love the oil space going forward. I think that whether it's 2016 where we see $70 a barrel again, or 2020 where we see 80, as I think the International Energy Agency said a couple of weeks ago. 1 year, 5 years, doesn't matter. These stocks are going to go up by a multiple of the current stock price, and not just mere percentages. It's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen. When it happens, I want you all to vote for me for Newsletter Manager of the Year, because we're going to have outstanding performance with the 5 or 6 subscribers we actually have left, if that actually takes 5 years. So anyway, the only thing saving me here, folks, is community banks. Okay, if you're managing the way I've talked about in previous videos and things that I've written, with about 70% of the money in a community bank portfolio, maybe 30% in the deep value portfolio, you are having a fantastic year, because we are up strong in the banking on profit service. And we had another takeover today, little low premium of multiple to book value at 120% of book for our portfolio stock, Chavoit, that got taken out. But we made 50% on the bank. There is a chance, because the stock actually has ticked over several times today over the buyout price. So there's at least a suspicion there's several activists involved, and they may agitate for a slightly higher price in the weeks ahead. Again, if that happens, great. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to complain too much about what is basically an 18-month 50% gain on the capital we had invested in that stock. Now, we talked a little bit last week, at least I think we did, about the Bank Directors M&A Annual Survey Issue report that came out last week. Numbers are interesting here, guys. 87% of banks between $5 and $10 billion in total assets intend to make an acquisition next year. That's almost all of them. And it's very few not looking to make deals in that space to continue to grow their bank. 86% of banks between 1 to 5 billion intend to make an acquisition next year. Now remember, it's those banks in the 3 to 5 billion asset range that they're really in the sweet spot. They are up, over 3 billion. You've comfortably got the scale to deal with regulatory and technology costs, but you've got a long ramp up to the $10 billion where the Consumer Finance Protection Board new regulations and rules actually kick in, or the Durbin Amendments limit on fees that you can charge becomes a major issue. So the 3 to 5 billion mark is the sweet spot in the banking industry. Most of those guys, they know they got it good. Their margins are a little bit higher. They're making money, but they're in a great position to grow because they can triple in size before they hit that $10 billion mark, and the new regulatory costs are an issue that they have to deal with. So all of them are looking to buy another bank. What's the number? Almost 70%. It was 69% of banks between 1 and 5 billion. Yes, let me get these numbers right. I can't read my own handwriting here. We've got 87% of banks between 5 and 10 billion looking to make a deal. And between 1 and 5 billion, it's 69%. Sorry about that. It's 86% of banks over 10 billion. So my little chicken scratch messed us up there. But 69% between 1 and 5 billion looking to buy another bank. 2/3 of all banks said that in the current environment, and regulatory environment, they need to grow significantly between now and 2020. Now, there's not a lot of organic loan growth. Net interest margins are low. It's very, very competitive out there. There really is only one viable path to growth in the banking industry right now, and that's to buy another bank. Now, let's think for a minute about who they're going to buy. All right, if you're in the 1 to 5 billion, you're buying a bank less than $1 billion in assets. If you're between 5 and 10 billion, you're probably looking from 500 million up. I had a banker tell me not long ago that he preferred to make lots of smaller acquisitions, and this bank had like 15 billion in total assets. They like to make smaller acquisitions, and several of them, rather than one big one, because it was easier to integrate the smaller bank operations into his bank rather than dealing with a bank that might view it more as a merger of equals and be difficult about some of the transition stuff. So the banks that primarily are going to get bought look a lot like the community banks we have in our banking on profits portfolio. With that number of banks running around, over 80% between 5 and 10 billion, almost 70% between 1 and 5 billion, there's going to be a lot of deal activity next year. We should profit from it tremendously. That takeover today, between our bonus bank picks and our regular portfolio, that was our 8th pick of the year. So we got 2 more. We have 4 weeks here, guys, 5 weeks to get 2 more picks so we can tie last year's 10 mergers in the portfolio. Hopefully it happens. I'd love to wake up to a 2 merger day right before Christmas. That would be a nice early present for me. Now, speaking of early presents, the Christmas book list the publisher's list starts getting ridiculous next Tuesday. Everything is coming out that goes through all the way through the end of the year. Lots of your favorite authors. So keep an eye an eye out on the new releases list on Amazon in the book department. Or if you're lucky enough to have a really good local bookstore, because even our Barnes and Noble here is just gone. We got to go all the way downtown to find a bookstore now. Keep an eye on that new release list because there's some really cool stuff coming out. But most excitingly, Randy Wayne White is one of my favorite authors. If you've never read the Doc Ford series, get it, read it, start with the first book because you got to watch the character progression of Doc and Tomlinson and the other characters in the book, etc. Captiva Sanibel. It is a great piece of recreational reading, although I will tell you, you will learn a lot about how to run a boat, marine biology, Cuban politics, and all sorts of other stuff, and fly fishing. You learn a lot about fly fishing, and the history of Florida and the ecology of Florida, all from this series of recreational reading books. It's a fantastic series, one of my absolute favorites. So if you've never read Doc Ford, get started on that. But anyway, when he was a younger writer, he was doing stuff for Outdoor Magazine, and he was guiding fly fishing trips out there for tarpon and bonefish, or around the Mangrove Islands and down in Key West. He wrote a series of books that came out a couple of years ago. They were the Dusky McMorgan books, and they were really good, quick reads. Fun books based in Florida, of course, like all of his work is. And this was not heavy intellectualism, and you didn't learn a lot. These were all, he used a much cruder term, but action and girl books. Okay, fun reads. And I just found out that he did another series of these things, and there's 11 of them. It's called the Hawker series, and James Hawker is described as America's leading vigilante against organized crime. And these things are set all over the United States. They're releasing all 11 on Kindle versions next Tuesday. So not going to be seeing much of me around the house once I'm done working for the day, because I'm going to get lost in those things. Randy Wayne White is a great writer, tells a fantastic story, and I cannot wait to see these books when they come out next Tuesday. Okay, Navy football. What a great year it's been. Only 1 loss so far, and that was to Notre Dame, and we played them tough. This is a good-looking football team. I think Keenan Reynolds should be your Heisman Trophy winner this year. This guy set the NCAA mark for touchdowns scored. He's led Navy to several tremendous victories against very good football teams. If he beats Army this year, they get the Commander-in-Chief trophy. If they win Saturday against, mind you, a very tough Houston team, this will be the first conference title Navy has won in its entire history. If you remember, Navy was an independent for all of its life leading up until this year when they finally joined the American Athletic Conference. So this young man, fine student, going to fulfill his 5-year service commitment in the United States Navy. How cool would it be if this amazing student athlete won the Heisman Trophy this year? If you know anybody that's eligible to vote for the Heisman, put a bug in their ear. I'd love to see this kid on stage in New York in a couple of weeks accepting that trophy. So anyway, as you know, the All Kids in One Town rule is invoked this week. It's the Thanksgiving holiday. My son's driving over to Orlando with the wife and I, and my daughter will be there, obviously, since it's her father-in-law's house that we're going to. And, of course, the youngest one will be with us. The only one not going is the dog, but don't feel too bad for her. We've got a dog sitter coming over, my son's girlfriend, and so she'll be spoiled rotten until we get back some Saturday morning. But all of us at one place at one time, the focus becomes our family. We take a publishing holiday for the remainder of the week. There won't be updates this Friday, nor will there be a reading list on Saturday. We're going to be enjoying time with the family over the Thanksgiving holiday. I will have my laptop. I'll have my little phone device thing, and we'll be staying on top of news. And if something significant happens, you will hear from me. If nothing significant happens, you can assume that I am on the beach in Naples with a frothy cocktail in hand, enjoying the company of having all my kids in one place at one time. So anyway, it's Thanksgiving. We're thankful for just so many things. There's problems in the world, guys. There's things that need to be fixing. But if you're listening to this video and you're on my obviously investment-oriented mailing list, and you know, we've got a lot going right for us, okay? We've got roofs over our head. We've got food, too much food on Thursday. We don't really have to worry about bombs falling out of the sky onto our homes overnight. We don't have to worry about going hungry. Our kids are not going to be pressed into service as part of some terrorist army upon threat of death. Nobody's going to kill us for what we do or do not choose to believe anytime soon. So we live in what is basically a safe, comfortable environment, and it's certainly something to be thankful for. I'm very thankful, for my family, for my friends, and for all the people that make this life so much better. I'm grateful for things like books, that we can learn from that relax the brain if you're doing recreational reading. I do lots of both, of course, and books have made me much of what I am today. That and my sharp dressing style. Living in Florida. I'm joking. I mean, it's a cold wave down here. It was 68 degrees. I almost froze. I love where I live. I love being here. The palm trees, the alligators, love absolutely every bit of it. And I'm grateful for it. Very thankful for it this year. Thankful for all the great folks at MarketFi who help get all this copy and videos and everything out to you guys every week, because I am a technology goofball. I could never do it all on my own. They handle the administrative stuff, the sales stuff, the customer support stuff for me. Great group of folks. And of course, I'm grateful for all of you who have become part of the Deep Value and Banking on Profits community. We've built a really neat little community in the last couple of years. There's several of you that I'm a regular correspondent with, and that's one of my favorite parts of this whole thing, is talking to you guys. We learn together. We discuss new ideas, new ways to approach this stuff. It's really cool, and a lot of you have become pretty good friends. So I'm definitely grateful for that. And with that, that's going to be it for me this week. I'll be back next week, back to just the regular schedule, video on Tuesday or Wednesday or maybe Monday if I decide to do it early, a Thursday update, and then, of course, the portfolio reviews and the reading list on the weekend. But we will have a publishing holiday this weekend. I'm really looking forward to the time with the kids and the wife, and the beach and the drinks will, if they're not going to upset me too terribly much. So anyway, you guys have a fantastic Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you all next week.